It's impossible to visit London without coming across the King's Guard, standing motionless, eyes forward, their iconic red tunics and towering bearskin hats drawing thousands of cameras every single day. But behind the perfect discipline and tradition, there's something most people don't realize. These soldiers aren't just a spectacle. They're part of a multi-million-dollar machine that keeps the UK's tourism industry thriving. From the King's Life Guard patrolling on horseback to the Royal Guard stationed at Buckingham Palace, their presence isn't just for show, it's a business, a big one. Think about it. How many visitors come to London just to witness the Queen's Guard in action? How much do brands, documentaries, and tour companies profit from the image of the King's and Queen's elite protectors? And most importantly, do these guards even see a piece of that fortune? Drop a comment if you've ever seen them in person, hit that like button if you've learned something new already, and stick around, because what's coming next might change the way you see them forever. They move with absolute precision. Glossy coats, powerful strides, and an elegance that stops entire crowds. The King's Life Guard on horseback isn't just a symbol of British tradition. It's a high-value attraction that brings in millions. People travel from all over the world just to catch a glimpse of these horses standing motionless in their posts or marching through the streets of London. But behind the perfect discipline and royal image, there's a hidden reality that few ever talk about. They aren't just any horses. These are carefully selected, rigorously trained, and belong to a bloodline that goes back generations. Each one is hand-picked for their temperament, strength, and ability to handle chaos, because standing in front of unpredictable tourists and dealing with the daily noise of London isn't for any ordinary animal. The breeding process alone is a multi-million-dollar investment. Some of these horses are valued at staggering prices, making them some of the most expensive working horses in the world. But where does all this money come from? And more importantly, where does it go? It's not just about tradition. These horses are part of an entire industry built around them. Merchandising, private tours, royal parades, and even the countless social media videos that rack up millions of views. Every viral clip of a King's Guard horse reacting to a tourist or standing proudly in formation adds to the allure. Luxury brands have even used them in high-profile events. Their presence in ceremonies and state functions only increases their prestige, turning them into living, breathing symbols of the monarchy. And with that prestige comes value, a value that translates directly into revenue. Each horse requires meticulous care, custom saddles, specialized diets, constant medical checkups. Nothing is left to chance. The cost of keeping just one horse in top condition runs into tens of thousands per year. Multiply that by an entire regiment, and you have an operation that costs millions annually. And yet, the real question is, with all the money flowing through this system, how much actually goes into their care? They don't serve forever. After years of carrying soldiers and standing for hours on end, they eventually retire. Some are rehomed in sanctuaries, others auctioned off. But there have been cases where their fate wasn't as glamorous as their years in service. People assume they live out their days in royal pastures, but the reality isn't always that simple. And that's where things start getting controversial. For all the beauty and prestige surrounding them, controversies exist. Reports have surfaced over the years questioning their treatment, their workload, and whether the industry prioritizes profit over the well-being of these animals. With millions being made from their image, one would think that their care is beyond question. But is that really the case? People assume that serving in such an elite and historic position comes with a generous salary. After all, they are responsible for guarding the royal palaces, standing just meters away from the king and queen and representing centuries of tradition. But the reality? It's not what you'd expect. The starting pay for a King's Guard soldier isn't exactly royal. Officially, they make around £21,000 to £28,000 per year, which, after taxes, is barely enough to live comfortably in London. To put that into perspective, that's less than what some retail workers make in the city. They work long shifts, undergo intense training, and are expected to maintain an image of perfection at all times. Yet, their pay doesn't reflect the global attention and revenue they generate. Tourists flock to Buckingham Palace just to see them, and viral videos of the Royal Guard attract millions of views online. But do these soldiers see any of that money? London's tourism industry earns billions every year, and the King's Guard is one of its biggest attractions. Souvenirs, guided tours, and exclusive royal experiences are all cashing in on the image of these soldiers. Even online, their presence fuels a massive content economy, yet their salaries remain surprisingly low. So, where does all the money go? The simple answer: not to them. The revenue generated from tourism goes to the monarchy, the government, and the businesses profiting from the royal brand. The guards? They get a basic military salary and little else. Aside from the pay, there are other challenges: the strict rules, the mental and physical strain, and the constant pressure to perform without breaking character. Tourists test their patience daily. Some try to make them laugh, others invade their personal space, and in some cases, even try to provoke a reaction. And here's something few realize: they aren't just actors in a costume. These are real soldiers, trained for combat, capable of responding to serious threats. They're not just standing there for show. Yet, despite their discipline and the sacrifices they make, their earnings don't match the prestige of their role. There are some benefits: housing, healthcare, and military pension plans, but nothing that makes up for the relatively low pay. The honor of serving in the Royal Guard carries prestige, and for many, it's about duty rather than money. But when compared to the revenue their presence helps generate, it raises an uncomfortable question: should they be paid more? Behind this carefully maintained tradition, there's something that rarely gets talked about. The King's Guard isn't just a royal symbol, it's a business, a massive, multi-million-dollar industry that generates revenue from every possible angle. Walk into any souvenir shop in London and you'll see them everywhere: tiny figurines, t-shirts, keychains, mugs. The King's Guard is more than just soldiers standing at attention. They are one of the most commercialized symbols of the British monarchy. And it doesn't stop at souvenirs. Guided tours sell out daily, with companies charging premium prices for exclusive experiences centered around the Royal Guard. Travel agencies market London as the place to witness this living tradition, making it a key selling point for UK tourism. It's not an exaggeration to say that the presence of these soldiers helps bring in billions to the economy. But with all this money flowing, the question is, who actually profits from it? It's easy to assume that a portion of this revenue would go to the guards themselves or even towards preserving the tradition. But that's not exactly how it works. Tourism revenue is spread across businesses, government sectors, and of course, the royal brand itself. Luxury hotels, travel companies, influencers, and content creators all capitalize on the global fascination with the King's and Queen's Guard. Meanwhile, the soldiers, who stand for hours in extreme weather, maintaining their composure in front of millions of visitors, see little to none of that profit. Even viral videos featuring them contribute to this economy. Every time a clip of a King's Guard horse reacting to a tourist blows up online, it indirectly feeds into this system. attracting more visitors, increasing brand deals, and fueling the never-ending cycle of commercialization. To the outside world, the Royal Guard represents timeless British tradition. What many don't realize is that this tradition has been turned into a perfectly engineered marketing tool. From official merchandise to private events where the guards are used for ceremonial performances, their image is constantly being monetized. Yet, despite their essential role in maintaining the prestige of the monarchy, their salaries remain surprisingly modest. If they generate millions in indirect revenue, should they be compensated more? Should there be more transparency about where this money goes? For now, the business behind the King's Guard continues to thrive, benefiting everyone except the ones actually standing in uniform. What do you think? Drop a comment, hit like if this surprised you, and don't forget to subscribe, because the reality behind these traditions is far more complex than it seems.